get started this morning. Thank you so much for coming. We're so excited to have you here for our second Future Ready Iowa listening tour. We are here today to hear from a panelist of students and employers to talk about Future Ready Iowa and to hear about what we can do to promote learning and educational attainment in the state of Iowa as we develop our talent pipeline and get the numbers that we need for our future economic growth. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chancellor Chris DeRee, who's going to give us a welcome.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And welcome to the Orpheum Theater Center. I'm Chris DeRee. For those of you who may not know who I am, Chancellor of the Iowa Valley Community College District, which of course includes Marshalltown Community College. And it's certainly my privilege to welcome everybody to the second of 4 stops on the Governor's Future Ready Iowa Listening Tour. Iowa Valley Community College District, Marshalltown Community College, and the Marshalltown Regional Partnership have been asked to do this. We're very thrilled to co-host this event to learn about the next steps for the Future Ready Iowa initiative. I have to tell you, it's been my honor to serve on both the Governor's initial Future Ready Iowa National Governors Association project team, which we called at that time aligning the talent pipeline, and for the past year, the Future Ready Iowa Alliance, which under the leadership of Governor Reynolds, Dan Houston, Beth Townsend, we've developed some recommendations that will be shared, and our goal has been to reach 70% of the workforce having education or training beyond high school. That can be in the way of a credential, a certificate, diploma, or a degree, and we want to achieve this by 2025. The Alliance made its final recommendations on Tuesday to our large group. That's Tuesday of this week, and that's what we're here to discuss with all of you today. Those of us in the Marshalltown area are also eager to share our perspectives on what it will take to make to better meet our regional education and workforce needs and grow faster as a region. So thank you for joining us today. We've got a great audience, and now it's my pleasure to turn the podium over to an avid but grieving Chicago Cubs fan, Beth Townsend, who's certainly become a colleague and a friend of mine. She's the director of the Iowa Workforce Development and facilitator of the Future Ready Iowa Alliance. She's going to moderate today's panel discussion. So help me give Director Townsend a very warm Marshalltown welcome.
Yeah, thank you for that painful reminder of last night's really painful game. We want to say welcome, and I'd especially like to welcome Senator Jeff Edler, who's with us this morning. We, as Chris indicated, this was a across the state effort. It was a bipartisan effort. We had participants from all across all the stakeholders and very much appreciated it. So I want to introduce you this morning to our panelists. And they're going to introduce themselves to you, tell them a little bit about their background, and then we're going to move into questions. So we're going to start with Adio Aru. Adio?
Hello, everyone. My name is Adio. I go to Marshalltown Community College. I am the student body president. I'm originally from South Sudan. I came to America when I was 3 years old. My future career goals is to become a doctor. Yeah, that's pretty much about me.
Very good. Sam Campbell.
Current graduate of Iowa Valley Grinnell Gunsmithing, applied science degree in gunsmithing. Currently going to the tool and die course in Marshalltown here.
Thank you, Sam. Sarah Jacobs.
Hi, my name's Sarah Jacobs. I'm a Marshalltown High School senior, and I'm hoping to pursue a career as a nurse practitioner.
Hi, my name is Brandon. I attend Marshalltown High School and also Marshalltown Community College. Right now, I'm currently taking welding, should I say. Later on in life, I really do want to work for the UP.
Very good. And then we have Mr. Ross Harris.
I'm Ross Harris. I'm the Vice President of Engineered Products for Fisher Controls here in Marshalltown, Iowa. I've been there with the company 19 years, and prior to that, I was the plant manager with our operations here in Governor Road.
And then also on the panel this morning, we have the Honorable Governor Kim Reynolds and Dan Houston. Governor Reynolds and Mr. Houston were the co-chairs of the Future Ready Iowa Alliance. Mr. Houston is the chairman, president of CEO Principal Financial. And then we also have Lieutenant, I always, because of my military background, say Lieutenant Colonel when I really mean Lieutenant Governor. So I want to welcome, specifically recognize Lieutenant Governor Adam Gregg joining us this morning, who's also deeply committed to this work. So I'm going to start with you, Governor Reynolds. Why did you launch the Future Ready Iowa initiative, and what are the next steps based on the recommendations that you received earlier this week?
Well, thank you, Beth, and thank you to each and every one of you for being here and being a part of this listening tour. I want to thank MCC and the Marshalltown Regional Partnership for hosting. We appreciate that very much. You know, as the Lieutenant Governor and I travel to communities all across the state of Iowa, and we meet with business and industry, every day we hear about the amazing careers that are available and the opportunities that exist for Iowans, and really that most of the companies that we've had a chance to meet with are experiencing growth, and that the only deterrent that they had right now was workforce. And so there was such a disconnect between the opportunities that were available and Iowans that were unemployed, underemployed, or just needed an opportunity to get a skill to fulfill the careers that were available. So we launched the Future Ready Iowa initiative with a lot of pre-work that had already been done. Chris, thank you for that. You were in on it from the very beginning. To really put together some recommendations and strategies how we could alleviate the disconnect and help Iowans become successful in learning a skill and having a great opportunity for a great job. So on Tuesday, as you heard, we had the final meeting of the Alliance. They made the recommendations on how we can help reach our goal of having 70% of Iowans in the workforce have education or training beyond high school. And it's not just about, this is an opportunity to grow Iowa's economy, but it's also an opportunity to provide wealth creation and to really help Iowans have a great career. And we listened to some of the panelists yesterday, and the stories that we heard were remarkable. And it's the stories that we heard, and I know that we'll hear today, you know, that's what we want to scale all across the state of Iowa. So right now, we're doing the listening tour. The next thing that we'll do is to take a look if we need to draft some legislation. One of the top priorities that came, one of the top recommendations that was made was a last dollar scholars to help bridge the gap between grants and gifts, so we can help Iowans complete a certification 2-year degree that lead to high demand jobs. So we'll do the listening tour, we'll take a look at legislation, we'll put a timeline together, we'll put metrics in place, benchmark, and then we will do everything we can to really build out the existing programs that are out there. So it's not about creating new programs, but really aligning the programs that are working and looking for opportunities from a regional perspective to scale them.
Lieutenant Governor Gregg, how do we know that Iowa really does have a skills gap?
Well, as the governor kind of mentioned, we hear it all the time as we're on the road. We travel all 99 counties, and it's a very common refrain that we hear meeting with business and industry, and particularly in rural Iowa as well. I can remember a couple stops that really stick in my mind. H&H Trailers in Clarinda. As we met with them, they had 12 open positions. They had committed to another 75 positions with an expansion that they were doing. And their biggest concern was, how are we going to find the people to fill those jobs? Another example from Ida County, a company called BT Industries had 50 to 60 open positions. And so that's a big challenge that we hear about anecdotally as we travel the state. But I think it's important to emphasize that the statistics support it as well. From the perspective of, as you project what our workforce needs are going to be in the future, about 70% of the jobs that are going to be available are going to require some type of training or education beyond high school. Right now, as it stands, about 58% of Iowans have that level of training. So we need to, the whole point of this is to develop a strategy to fill that gap, to meet that delta, moving from 58% to 70%. And that's about 127,000 Iowans.
Mr. Houston, I would imagine as the chairman of Principal Financial, you have a few things on your plate. Why did you agree to co-chair this, the Future Ready Iowa Alliance, and what do you expect to see in terms of results in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I can tell you, if the governor ever asks you to do something, you want to say yes. So it was Governor Branstad, and I had the good fortune that Lieutenant Governor, or Lieutenant Colonel, Reynolds was the co-chair, and we didn't know each other really before then, and it was a great way to better understand some of the challenges going on with government broadly. But there really isn't a line between the private sector and the public sector. We interact with each other every single day, so now it becomes a bit self-serving because Principal has roughly 15,000 employees around the world, 7,000 in Iowa, 6,000 in downtown Des Moines, and it's imperative as I look out onto this crowd today, you're our future. It'll be you and my kids and my grandkids that will ultimately determine Iowa's success as a great place to work, live, and play. So we want to make sure that we are providing the appropriate, we want to work with the public sector to make sure that the programs all the way down in the lowest level of education is there to recognize that the jobs of the future are going to be very different from the jobs from today. Some will require college education, some won't require a 4-year degree, some will be in the trades area. So we need to do a really good job of inventorying and then projecting what's going to be needed, and then working closely with the schools and other programs to make sure that we've got a workforce prepared to take on the future.
So, Mr. Harris, is it hard for your company to hire enough skilled workers these days?
It's absolutely something that we struggle with. As the plant manager in Marshalltown, you're always trying to find the people that have the soft skills, that want to come to work and want to be there on time and work every day, but most importantly, trying to find the people that want to work in an environment where they're using their hands. And speaking for Fisher Controls, it's a highly engineered product. So when you're looking for individuals that can machine parts to the thousandths of an inch, it's hard to find the people that have that attention and that focus. So partnering with the school districts and starting at an early age when kids were in high school, you find the people that have that mindset that want to work with their hands and do those things. And you carry that over through high school, into the community colleges, and partnering to find the people that want to stay there, work there, and contribute to the local community.
So what kind of education or training are you looking for in potential employees?
So as I mentioned, we start in the high school. So we start an internship program where we had 5 to 6 high school students come to the plant just to see what manufacturing environment is today. And most importantly, when we did that, we had the parents come, because there's this misunderstanding that in the environments, machining, it's a dirty, grimy, hazardous environment, when in fact it's actually the opposite. Safety is the very first thing that we talk about, and I'm sure all the businesses that you've encountered say the same thing. You need safe employees that feel comfortable working there. Aside from that, when you're looking for the employees that come in, partnering with the schools, it's the people that have the math skills, which is critical to what we do. It's the people that want to become welders, that want to become electricians, that want to become machinists. And not only do they apply that at work, but then you find that these are some of the people that start small businesses on the side that even further contribute to the economy from the skills that they develop and hone as an employee of a company like Fisher Controls.
When you heard about the Future Ready Iowa Alliance recommendations, how do you think they might impact your business and help you find those skilled workers in the future?
Well, it's exciting for us. And as a school board member, I've pushed very hard because we have a lot of students that want to go to college, and that's wonderful. But there's the same kids that college just isn't ready for them. Maybe it is in the future, but their next step is they're looking for gainful employment. We have people at Fisher that have worked as machinists for 50 years that are still working in the plant. So when you get an opportunity like this, it helps bridge that gap for those students that just need that financial support or that incentive to want to take that and become an employee with these kind of skilled trades that are required.
Very good. So now I'm going to talk to the students on the panel. So I'm going to ask each one of you to make sure you speak directly into the microphone when you answer so that we can be sure to hear your answers, and for your friends in the back so that they will be able to hear what you have to say. I'd like for each of you to talk about how you think a last dollar scholarship that closes the gap between your financial assistance you might get and the tuition and fees that you're required to pay would assist you in your education plans. Adio, you want to start?
So if I had the last dollar scholarship personally, it would help me greatly. Right now I work a part-time job, and if I didn't have to work a part-time job, I would feel less stress. So with that fund, I would have to work less, and I think that would help me more into focusing more on my education and not having to focus on working so much to pay for those funds that need to be paid for school. So that's how that would benefit me if I received a scholarship like that.
Sam?
For those of us over 30 years old, we pay about 2.5 times more than everybody else does out there, because there's really not a lot of scholarships for us out there. And those of us that are transitioning from the construction trades or whatever want to seek something different for that second time around, more scholarships for us over 30 would be greatly appreciated.
Sarah?
I guess I'll kind of piggyback on Adio's statement of just saying that to not have to worry about money as much and focus more on school would help a lot.
Brandon?
I'll have to go back on Sarah on that one. Schooling, it's very complicated sometimes, and sometimes the student won't able to comprehend exactly what the teacher is asking, so he might need a little help. But the student won't be able to because he's gonna have to go to work and find a way to have to pay the college, should I say. Right now, I'm lucky I'm not paying nothing, but next year I'm gonna start paying for my college. So I'm gonna start working part-time job and going to school. And I have a friend right now in the class that's struggling right now a little bit, but he's doing it right now.
Well, that's a good segue to my next question for the students. Part of the Alliance recommendations revolve around providing mentoring, providing career counseling, and some wraparound services. Would those types of assistance or support help you in your educational pathway?
I believe that those type of supports, mentorship and internship, help very greatly. It opens up your eyes and your options and lets you see what you want to do in the future. This summer I had an opportunity to do an internship at the University of Iowa, and it was a summer health professions education program. So I went around and job shadowed different doctors. I also took 2 courses in an organic chemistry course and an anatomy course on the level of a medical student. So that opened my eyes to what my future will be, how medical school will be, and a future as a doctor. And that opened my eyes and made me feel even more prepared for what's to come and more confident in what I want to pursue in life.
An internship or apprenticeship, which is what I went through on the HVAC industries, was very important because you got an aspect of what to expect in the job field. And also learned that some things in school that you learn in the book are actually opposite of how the equipment actually works. So it's the apprenticeship programs and internships are vital importance.
So Sarah and Brandon, before you answer, I'm going to put a little twist on your question. How can we better educate high school students about all of the great opportunities and potential jobs there are here in Iowa? How can we get you that information? Where do you go to get that information? And what could we do better to provide you with more information?
Right now, where I go to get all my information is the counselor's office, and I think they have a lot of like inputs in there as far as like different colleges and stuff like that. But I think just announcing it more, that like where to go to get the information, and maybe even if you need help like reading through the information to like make sure you're understanding what you're reading would kind of help.
Brandon?
In MTC, my teacher, he's very helpful, should I say. My college office, they tell you to go down there and look if they have any internships or any scholarships. But personally, my teacher, he sits all of us down and tells us straight up. He tells us, there's this internship, if you guys are looking for this, I'm right here, I will help you find your job. This is why I am here, to help you find a job and later on in the future and do something that you love to do.
Sam and Adio, do you have any suggestions or recommendations regarding how could we get information to adults such as yourself who are looking for maybe a second career like Sam did, or getting upskilled or more degrees like you're going to do, Adio? Do you have any recommendations on that?
Yes, my recommendations would be having a job fair that is for careers that are in need of more employment. So I think that would be a great way to reach out to high school students, any type of student that is wanting to go back to school, just to see it and actually talk to people who are in that division and to see how it is, and then also opening up more internships and allowing them to come to their companies and see what it is like. So I think that would be the best way to do it.
For those of us over 30, just to have advertising on what scholarships could be awarded to them, and a little more towards our way. A lot of people my age will not go back to college because of the affordability of it and everything, because I work too going through, and like I said, I'm borrowing twice of what the average student is to go to college.
So let me ask all of the students, work-based learning is a big part of the Future Ready Iowa Alliance recommendations. I would be interested to hear if any of you have done or participated in work-based learning, such as an internship. I think we've heard a little bit about job shadowing or an apprenticeship. And if so, did that change your perspective? And do you think that other adults or high school students would benefit from that type of work-based learning opportunity?
I strongly believe that high school students would benefit greatly from work-based study. So I also, how I did an internship and job shadowed. I didn't do that in high school. I didn't really have people talking to me about that kind of stuff. But once I entered community college and through my TRIO advisor, I got involved, and I knew that I couldn't go where I wanted in life by just being stagnant. So I got out there, I applied for internships, I called offices to see if I can job shadow a physician, and really got out there to see what it's going to be like for me 20 years from now or however long. So I think high school students would greatly benefit from just job shadowing, getting out there and seeing what it really is like.
Sam?
Companies offering like a job, high school students and potential candidates to come in on like job days and stuff like that, see what they have to offer, if it would be.
You talked a little bit about apprenticeships and kind of an earn while you learn model. Do you think that would be helpful if expansion or more money into apprenticeship programs where adults can have that income while they're learning? Do you think that would be helpful?
Yeah, the more apprenticeships with the base, because you're making the salary on what you're going into also. And like I said, the apprenticeship gives you basic ways of how the job works. And then, like I said, some things on the books don't really apply to the job, especially on an engineer standpoint of view.
Great. Sarah or Brandon, do you think you would benefit from a work-based learning experience or opportunity like an internship or job shadowing?
I personally haven't done any internships or job shadowing yet, but hopefully I will, because I do think that more of like the hands-on learning and like you actually actually being there, I think you're going to benefit a lot more from it, and also, especially if you're not 100% sure if that's what you want to do. So I think it would really help you decide your career path.
Me personally, I haven't had an internship or an apprenticeship. Hopefully in the future I do get an apprenticeship. I think it'll benefit a lot. College is pretty pricey, should I say, and the resources that I need for my class is pretty pricey as well. And I sometimes don't have money for it, so I have to keep using my materials that are no longer good, but I still come out of it. Having an apprenticeship, it would be very beneficial for me, because it will show me a viewpoint of how I'll be working in the workforce later on in life, and how the environment is going to be around me. My teacher told me that to never expect the unexpected, should I say. He works in Australia in a very hot environment, dead heat on top of trains, and he said it sucks, but it's going to be worth it. It'll be worth it.
Very good. Thank you, Brandon. Governor Reynolds, taking a regional or local community-based approach through public-private partnerships is a focus of the Future Ready Iowa initiative. Why is that important to the efforts, or that the efforts be regionally driven?
Well, as I said earlier, we're not really trying to create new programs. What we've seen as we've traveled across the state is there are a lot of great programs and ideas that are already in partnerships that are already taking place. And I think, the educators, the communities, the businesses, they have an idea in their region what's working and what's not working. And so it makes a lot of sense to think of it from a regional perspective on how we're going to grow and expand the talent pipeline. What we're really trying to do, we've added a few new ones with the last dollar scholarships and grants and creating an employer innovation fund, and I think that's another way that we can really help expand the programs that are working within the regions, whether it's with the employer innovation fund, we can help accelerate internships, we can help accelerate externships, we can expand the Future Ready Iowa last dollar scholars. We can take a look at possibly doing some performance-based bonuses, potentially to the high schools for industry recognized credentials that they're earning within the region. So there's a lot of opportunity to really take a look at the best practices that are happening across the state and then figure out ways to scale them. Another opportunity is to, when we look at the community colleges, they're going to be a tremendous asset in really helping us meet the goal and the objective. And so they've got a lot of programs already in place that we can help build on too, whether it's GAP or PACE programming. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to coordinate those, and it makes a lot of sense to look at what the needs are in the regions, and we should be asking the communities, the partnerships that are already in place, and actually supplement that with the Future Ready Iowa initiative.
Lieutenant Governor Gregg, about 127,000 Iowans need to be educated in the next, or by 2025 to meet our goal. And most, or a lot of those are going to be adults. How do we reach out to adult Iowans who may want to upskill but already have commitments and busy lives?
Well, it's a big challenge. We can put together the best plan possible, but if nobody knows about it or we haven't communicated it, it won't do very much good. I think to understand that challenge, it's helpful to break down the numbers. So a study was done, which is how we came up with 127,700 Iowans that need these credentials. And they got into some very granular detail about who are those 127,000 plus Iowans. And 51,300 of them are adults who are 25 and older that have no prior post-secondary education. Another 35,200 of them are adults who are 25 and older who maybe have completed some training, but for maybe life happened and they moved on and went another direction, or maybe they need a little additional training. And then the other 41,200 are traditional age students. So if you look at that, 2/3 of those are adults 25 and older. But those are also some of the folks who maybe would have some of the biggest challenges coming back. As the gentleman said, the cost, and they're living their life. They've got kids. They've maybe got another job that maybe they want to do better, but it's challenging to do that. So how do we reach out to them? Well, events like this, number one, to get out and get the word out, and it's something that that Governor Reynolds has identified as a major priority for our administration going forward. But we'll also be very intentional about working with a PR and a marketing firm to get the word out. And I think another important element of that is having support for the folks who do go back, because it's challenging and they need an ecosystem of support, mentors, career counseling to help keep them on track and surround them with those types of services.
Mr. Houston, work-based learning is also a big part of the Future Ready Iowa conversations and recommendations. Why do you think work-based learning matters in terms of strengthening Iowa's talent pipeline?
Yeah, it's a good question, and the way I would respond to that is we're never done learning anymore. I suspect there was a period of time where you went to high school, you went to college, or obtained some sort of degree, and you kind of declared, that's it, I'm done. I've learned everything I need to learn. I can go on now and do a profession for the next 30, 35 years. Well, I suspect there's not any of us in this room now that are able to just sit back and rest on our laurels relative to prior education. So constant sharpening of the saw, sharpening our skill sets. Computer languages have changed significantly in the last 30 years, and every other aspect of what we do. The digital economy is here, it's alive and well, and my guess is we'll all be retrained every 2 to 3 years, and so adult learning is just part of everyone's life now. I don't care if it's a 4-year degree or a 2-year certificate program of some sort. It's just something that we'll have to adapt to and recognize its importance if we're going to compete on a global scale.
Mr. Harris, part of the Future Ready Iowa initiative is we need to have better and more engagement with business and specifically with business and education. How do you recommend or what do you think we could do to get businesses more engaged with education?
In Marshalltown, we're very fortunate because we have a school administration that's welcoming and understands and appreciates the situation that we're in with the skilled trades. So first and foremost, when partnering with the schools, whether it's the high school or the college, it's the staff and the administration that recognizes it. And I applaud them for being here today to hear this message. So it starts there. From a business perspective, it's truly an investment. The investment that you're making may not pay off for a year or 2 years or 3 years because you're working with the students that are just going into college or just in high school. So it takes time. And it takes time as businesses. I think you have to make that effort. You have to be willing to go to the schools and offer the internships, as the students mentioned. You have to be willing to listen and listen to what the students are looking for. It's a different world today than it was 20, 25 years ago. So understanding who your audience is, working with the schools as a partnership is really what makes the difference and what can enlighten and bring people into these skilled trades.
Great. Now we'd like to open it up to the audience. If you have any questions you'd like to ask our panelists about the Future Ready Iowa program. Anybody? I see a hand back there.
Yeah, my name is Calvin Morrison. I actually did the internship at Emerson over the summer. I actually think they should actually expand that out to all schools around this area. And actually with some of the guys that came from Fishers, Josh Orstake and Christy Young, that should help.
So could you give us a little information about what that program was, Mr. Harris?
Yes, so out at the plant in Marshalltown, my human resource manager came up with the idea of working with actually a person that we had that was working through a company with us. And what we decided to do is we had to find these skilled trades. So we went to the regional high schools and presented who is Fisher Controls and what are we looking for, and spent a lot of time with the guidance counselors. At the same time, we actually had some teachers come in and job shadow during the summer with the support of the school district to have the teachers come in and work in the plant and see this is who we are and what we're looking for. So we had advocates in the school who were then talking to these students. So then we had the students come in and they would spend anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks, and we had them just do different jobs and see, do you want to be a machinist? Would you like to be a welder? Would you like to be an electrician? What does it mean to work for Fisher? Talk to people that had been there 30, 35 years and say, is this really what they say it is? So that's a little bit of the organization and the program.
I just want to expand on the teacher externship. If you're a company out there, that's something that I would really hope that you would consider, not only the internship, but the externship as well. Not only for educators, but if we can have the opportunity to bring the counselors into your business as well, it pays tenfold. We talked to a couple teachers at our last STEM meeting, and it was just, they were 2 math teachers that had spent the summer working on projects at White's, so just like Emerson Fisher, and they completely transformed the way they were teaching. They raised the expectation of their students because they actually went into that company and applied what they were learning, and the passion that it brought back into the classroom just was phenomenal to listen to them talk about it. And we hear that story over and over. And so then they're, like you just said, they're talking about the company. There's not a better marketing tool that you could have as a company out there, because it is about building relationships and making those connections. And guess what? When you do that, we're keeping our young people in our communities, and they're helping our schools grow and be successful, helping our Main Street stay vibrant and growing. And they have an opportunity to have a great career and a great job. And they've had the chance to test run that a little bit in middle school and in high school. And that's when they should have the opportunity to make those decisions and find where they have, find out where their passion lies. And that helps them being successful after high school, whether it's a certification, apprenticeship, a 2-year degree, 4-year degree, whatever that may be. I think it really helps them be successful in their career decisions as well.
Do we have any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I was one of those students 25 years ago that went back and got a 4-year degree, and it helped me improve my life and my family. And of course, I'm here in Marshalltown. I graduated from Iowa State, but without getting a grant and some loans, I could not have had the opportunity to go back full-time to Iowa State. Will you make available those funds?
One of the recommendations from the Future Ready Iowa Alliance is for the Future Ready, it's to provide grants to adults who have earned at least half of the credits required for a bachelor's degree in a high-demand career field. So we would make those funds available, or adults, specifically for adults, to go back and finish up their bachelor's degree. Of course, adults would also be eligible if they're just starting for the Future Ready Iowa Scholarship Program.
So they could start with that, and then there's so it's twofold.
Any other questions?
I just had a question. How do you see the pre-K-8 system being able to support the work of Future Ready Iowa?
Well, we've had a multifaceted approach. So with the teacher leadership and compensation education reform that we passed in 2013, that really is developing a very collaborative environment and really helping educators work together. The financial literacy piece that we put in place a couple years ago to really ensure that our students are reading proficiently, especially by the 3rd grade, because that's when they're transitioning from learning to read to reading to learn. The STEM initiative has just been critical, I think, to helping develop that workforce talent pipeline. And so the Future Ready Iowa can help students once they leave high school and enter into that next phase of career development. And so with the STEM initiative, we do a lot of work-based learning, hands-on, high-quality STEM scale-up programs. And we also, we promote the externship, the internships, FIRST Robotics. There's several scale-up programs that we have. But again, that's really brought, the other benefit of that is it's brought education and educators and business and industry. It's a public-private partnership together. And that has been the best thing that I've seen happen in the 6 years that I've been involved in it, because we need business really helping define what that workforce looks like, and we know we have to start sooner rather than later. And so the STEM initiative is really pre-K through 12, and so that's that pipeline that we're working on, and hopefully our students, just by participating in that, TLC, the financial literacy piece, we really are preparing them to look at career pathways and make better and more informed decisions as they enter into high school.
I don't think it's ever too early to build on some really important skills. If you looked at the Business Roundtable, which employs roughly 40% of all the people in the country, this would be very large employers, they identified 2 areas that were critical going forward in terms of the development of talent. And the first was critical thinking skills, and the second is communications. And I think the reason that those are really important, those start in kindergarten and first grade and second grade. That's the reading and the writing and the ability to communicate, which, by the way, this isn't quite all about communicating. That was meant for the latter back half of the room. You can laugh a little bit, come on. And the reason why I think that's really, really important is because if you look at a recent study by McKinsey, and you look at the total wages, which is about $15 trillion, there's an estimate between now and the year 2025, 40% of that $15 trillion in wages, whatever people are doing currently in those roles, is either eliminated or significantly altered. And so back to the adult learning, back to the basic skills you have to have, whether it's at Fisher Control, whether it's at Principal, whether it's at Vermeer or Ruan Trucking, the basic skills of critical thinking and the ability to communicate are just going to be critical for your future success. And your job's going to change. Machine learning and artificial intelligence and robotics will change all industries. It's not limited to manufacturing. It's going to change the service sector. And so that's going to require all of us to upskill our knowledge and our capabilities. And again, you're going to have a good foundation which to build on. So none of us are safe from the future. And we want to all enjoy the benefits of products that are more convenient, that are less expensive, and more convenient for all of us. But it will have an impact on our work. And I think ultimately it improves overall quality of life, but it won't be without disruption.
Any other questions?
Director David Rogers, the Marshalltown Regional Partnership, and thank you for being here today. This is a very good conversation that we've been having at the partnership level and in groups such as the Marshalltown Business Education Alliance, which is a great model that I know Ross has been involved with in the past and so forth, really bringing business and educators together. One thing that I think is also going to be very important as we talk about items such as work-based learning is we're hearing a lot from employers in our community too about the importance of soft skills. And I think that's something that is maybe sometimes in the past we just sort of assumed that those things were going to be coming along as a person grew and developed, but that's not always happening. And we are hearing sometimes from some of our employers that some of their biggest challenges are those soft skills. Just getting people to come into work, getting people to be on time, with attendance challenges. I think through the work-based learning, that again provides an opportunity to show all of our prospective employees the importance of doing those things. And Mr. Houston, I couldn't agree with you more in regards to communication skills, being able to look at somebody and speak with them eye to eye. I tell my daughters all the time that in life that people still buy and are motivated by people. Statistics and technology can only take us so far, but at the end of the day, it's looking at somebody in the eye and gaining the trust and really being able to speak with them. And so I think soft skills is something that I'm very excited about through the Future Ready Iowa initiatives. It's something that we have to continue to keep up front.
Very good, thank you. Well, with that, I want to say thank you so much for attending. Can we get a round of applause for our panelists? I think we can all agree that if the future in Iowa is based on the panelists that we've heard from this morning, we're in pretty good shape. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the governor for closing remarks.
Well, thank you, Beth, and I want to say thank you to all of the panelists that are with us today, to the MCC and to the Marshalltown Regional Partnership for hosting. So the Alliance put together a roadmap, and this is their recommendation to help us meet the goal. But we want to make sure we're on the right track. And this is a work in progress. It is not something that's set in stone, and that's one of the reasons that we are out doing the listening tours. So we can talk about kind of what those recommendations are, see if we're on the right track. listen to individuals and students and non-traditional students that are actually in the system right now, so that they can share some light on if we're doing the right things and if there's maybe some adjustments that we need to make. So I appreciate all of you being here and being a part of it. This is the #1 priority of our administration, and it has to be. It is about opportunity for Iowans and for our employers to continue to grow and to innovate and to really help find that confidence and that success and to have a great career where you can take care of yourself and your family and you can have a home and a car and do the things that we believe are obtainable here in our great state. I said yesterday, I am a non-traditional student. I'm that lady that went back. It took me until age 57 to get my 4-year degree at Iowa State. I used community colleges. I used private colleges. I used online learning. I was a mother, a grandma, ran for office, served as a lieutenant governor, so it's never too late. It is never too late. And it doesn't have to be a 4-year. But if there's something you want or you have a passion or you're a little bit nervous about going for it, go for it. Because the rewards in the end are worth it. So anyway, thanks for being here. We're excited about the opportunities and we're excited to work with Iowans across the state to help them be successful in finding a career and staying right here in Iowa and helping us be a great place to live, work, and raise a family. So thank you.